So, hello, everybody, and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here today, welcome back here at BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast. Here today, it is Tuesday, July 7th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. Well, we finally have some huge breaking news in the MLB, or in the NFL, and there's pretty good breaking news in the MLB as well. We're packed today on the podcast. We are absolutely packed. To be honest, I have a third topic up here, but I don't even know. I might be at 50 minutes, 40-something minutes, 50 minutes, around there by the time I get on that fourth topic, or that third topic. So I don't know if I will be talking about that or not. I'm going to keep that up in the air depending on what the time is. But I'll tell you what, we have two big news. One really huge, the other, big, but we all knew it was coming. So here we go. Here's what we got on the slate today. We got Patrick Mahomes' contract, the biggest contract in sports history. 2031 he's going all the way through 2031. So, we're going to get into that. We're just going to get into all the logistics, all the numbers, because there's a lot of numbers to this thing. I'm going to obviously read the stats. I'm going to give you, do I like this deal? Do I not? I'm going to give you all that stuff coming up in just a couple of minutes. Then we got the Yankees and the Mets 2020 schedule. This is another pretty big breaking news. Now, the Patrick Mahomes thing is probably bigger news, but, what we were expecting to see. This was scheduled to come out Monday, the Yankee schedule. I think I actually I might have said it on one of my podcasts. If not, I either did or I didn't. I forget, but if I did, I definitely did say probably Monday. I'm not sure if I did, but I might have. I'm not sure, though. With the whole schedule, I'm going to run through that. Not going to really give you the team's records. What I am going to tell you is, because it's just a lot. 60 games isn't that much, but I will tell you some of the series that I really do think each team will win. Some of the series each team will win, meaning they'll definitely win the series. Okay, they definitely got this game. There's a couple games on each team's list that they will definitely win. I'll give you some of those. And I also gave you some of the games that I really think are toss-ups, or not even just toss-ups, are going to be big marquee matchups that are going to be fun to watch, that are going to be very interesting, and they could draw big ratings. So I'm going to give you some of those games. And then we got the Yankees inter-squad game. The Yankees did their first inter-squad game yesterday. It was the Bombers versus the Yankees. They split up the teams. They split up the Yankees, put them onto each team, played a whole 9-inning game. I'm going to run through that. I watched some of the highlights. It was actually on Yes Network. I watched some of the highlights. The Yankees look good. Thairo Estrada hit a home run. They look pretty good. Thairo Estrada hit a home run, like I said. They look good. They did. So I'm going to talk about that coming up later on in the pod. I don't know if I will talk about that. I will try to, because I do want to say some stuff about that. But if I don't, it's because I got the first two topics that are really taking up time. But this intro is definitely taking up time as well. So we should get into it. This is the BSN Arc podcast. And let's get right into it. So Patrick Mahomes. Just think about it for a second. Just a young old 20, I'm not too sure exactly what his age is, just a 20-something year old is about to get paid $477 million. 503 is on his contract. It's a 10-year, $503 contract. But he's got $477 million of it is guaranteed. So that guaranteed money is automatically what you're going to get. And the other money is okay, well, if you play this and do this and do this and you stay here this long, that's how much you're going to get. But no matter how long guaranteed money is no matter how long. Whether Patrick Mahomes stays 1 year and retires, he's going to get that $477 million guaranteed. Guaranteed money is just automatically what you're going to get. The whole contract, $503 million, is the big, if he continues to play, finishes it out, and, they'll give him all that money. So, Patrick Mahomes signed the biggest contract in sports history, $503 million. And I'll tell you what, you usually, and I actually said this a couple days, or not really a couple days ago, actually about a month and a half ago, whenever the MLB and the Players Association was really struggling to get a deal together, I actually brought up a good point. I did not say Patrick Mahomes would be the highest paid player, but what I was saying is you would not be used to seeing a football player getting the biggest contract in sports history. You just don't. You wouldn't see that. Football contracts are big. They're actually, I think, the second biggest to the MLB, and then it goes MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL. NHL contracts are small. I mean, you saw that one guy. I mean, small is, for sports, is a lot for a regular, everyday human being. I mean, the MLB and the NHL in a season, they're getting paid $16 million, so they're doing perfectly fine. But, I mean, he's getting paid $503 million. It's $477 guaranteed. Biggest sports contract in sports history. So, back to my point with the baseball thing here, people. You would expect this contract to come from baseball, right? You saw it with Mike Trout. He had a huge contract. Bryce Harper had a huge contract. Right, Giancarlo Stanton has a huge contract. Now Garrett Cole has a huge contract. You would probably be used to seeing the biggest contract in sports history come from Mike Trout, which Mike Trout did have it. Out of the four major sports, he did have the biggest contract until now this year. Yesterday, July 6th, the Chiefs literally just gave Patrick Mahomes all their money. And now, let me say something quickly here. Regards to the baseball thing, that's why I was saying how the NFL will probably be perfectly fine. Same thing with the NHL. They're doing perfectly fine because of the fact that, because they were doing perfectly fine because of the fact that they were, they had lower contracts. Same thing with the NHL. They had lower contracts. NFL had lower contracts. MLB was the one struggling because they have the big contracts. They wanted to get as much money as they can in through those 60 games season. That's why they were struggling. That's why the NHL was, I think, actually one of the first teams to come back. And then it was the NBA, then followed by the MLB. Actually, the NFL playing their training camp, and then it was the MLB. But here's my thing with Patrick Mahomes, okay? I'm going to tell you this. I will say this about the money. I am always on players' sides. People always ask, are athletes overpaid? Now, this is my opinion. I know a lot of people have completely different opinions. And I don't like to really get into all this stuff, but people have completely different opinions. So everybody has their own opinion, right? Everybody can have their own opinion, right? To be honest, I don't think athletes are overpaid. I don't always think that. Now, I mean, what I'm trying to say is I don't think they're always, some athletes are overpaid, some aren't, is what I'm trying to get to the point here. And you might be thinking, that's a dumb reason. Here, just listen to me out. Hear me out here. For example, Patrick Mahomes, that's a $503 million contract, $477 guaranteed. That's a lot of money. It is. I mean, for a guy that's playing a kid's sport, getting paid $477 million guaranteed, $503 million written contract, 10 years. I mean, that's how sports is, though. 10 years, you're going to expect that contract. It's not like he's getting $503 million in 1 year. It's not like that. It's a 10-year contract through 2020. It's in the 2030s, people. This contract is in the 2030s. Okay, that's 10 years from now, exactly. By the time this contract is up, they actually calculated, he'll be 36 years old. So he'll probably, if he continues to play like he is, he'll probably finish out his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. He probably will. 2031. Okay, just think about that. 2031, what is it, 2021 right now? Or 2020 right now? So 10 years, right? 10 years. 2031 is just it doesn't even seem like it's possible. Meaning that people would be signing contracts all the way through the 2031 season. But back to my point with the whole contract. Some players, in my opinion, are overpaid. Some players deserve the money. They work towards the money. For example, Mike Trout. He got all that money. That guy has worked so hard to get that money. He's he's a good guy. He does a lot around, he actually gives back a lot to communities with that money. That's another thing I like about players. If you're going to get the big dollar, if you're going to get the top dollar, give back to communities. Mahomes did, I forget, I think he donated a ton of money to a big charity. Hopefully that continues. I like those guys that do that with their money. They don't just, sit there and count it at their house. Oh, $1, $100. Oh, and look, 5 other $100 bills. I like the guys that are active with their money, that do things with it, that go out, support charities, do things like that. J.J. Watt, for example. He's a high-paid player, got a lot of money. You've seen what he's done. Hurricane relief, he donated so much money over there. He donates a lot of money. That's why, in a way, I don't believe athletes are overpaid. Some athletes, I'm not going to name them all, but some athletes, in my opinion, are overpaid. I don't think they really go out there I don't think they really go out and give it their all. I don't think they kind of are sloppy. They don't really care. They're just doing it for the money. Now, you could always say, well, that's their job. Of course they're going to be doing it for the money. Yeah, but when you're out there and you're still trying hard and you're still doing your thing and you're still trying, you're giving back to charity, things like that, that's when you're not overpaid. You're not overpaid then. You're overpaid when you're not trying, you're sloppy, you're not really helping out your team that much, doing things like that. That's when you're overpaid. For example, Patrick Mahomes, though, I think he's done some charity work. Hopefully he does. Hopefully by the end of his run, he's done a lot with this Kansas City. Right? Hopefully he's done a lot, maybe charity stuff like that. Hopefully he's done a lot with that. You look all the stuff Drew Brees has done for the city of New Orleans. I mean, you look at that, the stuff that he's done more off the field almost than he does on the field, and that's saying something because he's one of the more accomplished quarterbacks of all time. He's done a lot off the field than he has on the field. I'm not trying to be mean by saying that, like that he hasn't done that much on the field. The stuff that he's done, charity work, just all around, just community stuff in New Orleans is just so good with Drew Brees, and that's why I hope that Mahomes can do the same, and I really do believe it. Brees is a humble guy. He's a good dude, never ran into any trouble. Same thing with Mahomes. Humble, hasn't run into any trouble, things like that, right? I really believe he could do a lot with the city of Kansas City. He brings them hope. He brings them, it's true, though. He does. He brings them happiness, winning a Super Bowl, doing all these great things. That's, in a way, is not an overpaid athlete, okay? An athlete that's going to do something with that money, give back, do stuff with it, and perform on the field at a high level. You can be as good as you want before you get your top dollar. You get that top dollar, you go downhill, well, you obviously weren't worth it. That's the thing with the Jets. For example, I think that's why the Jets might actually be a little slow with Jamal Adams. Muhammad Wilkerson, he did not get his money. Or he did get his money, my bad. He got his money. After he got his money, though, down the hill. Down. Rocky road, just landslide. Horrible. He was horrible. Didn't do anything with the Jets. That's why I think the Jets are a little hesitant to give the money to Adams. Although I think Adams is a much better player. But this is the Chiefs, not the Jets. So, anyway, Chiefs lock up Patrick Mahomes through 2031 with massive extension. Okay, I have two things about this deal. I'm going to give you this. I think it's a very good deal. I think keeping Mahomes as your franchise quarterback is the right decision, the right move, the move that is going to win you games, the move that is going to make your franchise successful is making this deal. Okay, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm not going to say anything negative about that. Mahomes is the best. You're re-signing the best quarterback in the NFL. Proves my point exactly what the Jets should re-sign Adams because he's the best at something. When you're the best at something, you should get the money. Brady was the best at something, got the money. Right? Mahomes is the best at something. He's going to get the money. He got the money. Adams is the best safety in the NFL. He probably should get the money. But back to my point with Mahomes. Okay, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, the best arm, all-around best quarterback. He can run, get you first downs when you need him to. All that, I've talked about that already on my pod. Okay, I like Mahomes a lot. I think this is a good deal. I think it's a great deal. I'm going to give it an A. I'm going to give it an A. Here's what's holding me back from giving an A+. Okay. I know a lot of Chiefs fans might be like, oh, great deal. Okay, it's a 10-year contract, people. $477 million guaranteed, $503 million is the total contract. What he could be getting is up to $503. Okay. People, what you do not understand is free agency, signings. In a couple of years now, there might be players on that team. For example, Chris Jones is an amazing example. He wants to get that money. He wants the money badly. He really does. He says he's going to sit out if he doesn't get the money. The Chiefs have just made Mahomes the richest athlete on the planet right now. They've just made him the richest athlete on the planet right now. And Chris Jones still hasn't got a contract, okay? I'm just hear me out, right? I'm just saying. That's one thing I'm just saying. Because free agencies to come might be a little tough because they're not going to have that much cap space because they're going to have to pay a guy $477 million every year, right? You have to pay him, you have to pay him. Okay? Another thing, people, okay? Tyreek Hill, let's just say, for example, in a couple years right now, if he's still performing, he might want the contract. And here's the problem. One by one, these players who want contracts might all of a sudden, oh, you're gone, up, he's gone, up, you're out. All of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes has no assets around him. Because it's really going to be hard to work through free agency right now when you have a quarterback, have a player that is that big of a contract. You saw, for example, the Jets last year got 2 huge contracts. They made Le'Veon a very high-paid running back. They made C.J. Mosley a very high-paid linebacker. They got those 2 contracts, right? They got those 2 big deals. You saw their offseason. It was pretty good, but their free agency was nothing like it. It's because they got 2 big contracts, so they have to, obviously, now they're not going to have a huge free agency. So the Chiefs, now that they have Mahomes, all this money on Mahomes, you might see the Chiefs now, one by one, some of these players fall out. Because they're not going to get the money, they're going to have to take major pay cuts. Especially some of these players like Tyreek Hill. When their contracts are up, they're going to want the money. Chris Jones, he wants the money. They just got a new running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's going to want the money. If he performs well through the next 3 years, he's going to want the money. And you're going to have to go ahead and say, you know what? I can't give it to you. That's just one negative about this deal. I'm going to give this deal an A. And here, I said this just a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to say it again. The best quarterback in the NFL. No arguments. I get it. People say, oh, Lamar Jackson. The all-around best quarterback in the NFL. Lamar Jackson has his strengths and he has his weaknesses. To be honest, and I might be sounding biased for this. I'm trying not to the best I can. But to be honest, I really like Mahomes. But Mahomes, he's not horrible at running either. Although Lamar Jackson's the best running quarterback in the NFL, and I'm not trying to compare the two. To be honest, Mahomes is not that bad at running. Him and Drew Lock actually remind me of each other. They actually remind me of each other. Them two. Drew Lock and Patrick Mahomes. The running ability, I mean. The running ability. Not the passing and all-around ability. It's the running ability that they remind me of each other. And here's my other thing, okay? Mahomes, it goes to show you that he's the best quarterback in the NFL because he's got a very good arm. He can still run a little bit. Lamar Jackson's got to work on the accuracy. And and Patrick Mahomes, too. He is the best arm in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. Now, you could say Russell Wilson. I mean, even I guess some people. But his deep ball accuracy is got to be better. It's just got to be. He could be 10 times better. He could be 10 times better if he had deep ball accuracy. And that's a guy I see too often in Josh Allen. I see him twice a year, obviously, being a Jets fan. Josh Allen. Okay. That kid, he has got an arm. He's got an arm. He is so good. He's got an arm. He's got a rare arm talent. He's got such arm power. It's just the deep ball accuracy is what hurts him every single time. Mahomes' deep ball accuracy is perfectly fine. He can run a little bit. He's good throw on the run. He's probably the best throw on the run. I mean, the guy's making no-look passes. The guy can almost do everything. And I'll tell you what. People don't believe me, but people don't believe it. Like what they're seeing is almost like in the Michael Jordan in a way. Like the guy's almost perfect. Like let's just say, for example, you're not alive right now, okay? Maybe you'll be watching this pod 20 years from now. But let's just say a person isn't around right now, or they're not obviously born yet. They get born in 2035, 2040, right? They'll be looking back at Patrick Mahomes like, wow, he was like a Michael Jordan. He was. Like, you watch the highlights, he's almost perfect. And then you watch the real game, and he's... Like, Michael Jordan is probably the closest athlete to all of his highlights. Meaning, like, highlights are obviously all the good plays, all the great things, You could judge a guy off of all the highlights, right? Because they're only going to show the good highlights. They're going to show, the good plays, the good this. They can make a bad player look good, because every player has their good moments. Michael Jordan was one of the... Highlights are also, fat, cool plays and things like that. Highlights, though, you don't usually see players missing shots on highlights. For example, Michael Jordan. If you were to watch a real game next to his highlights, it's probably the closest. The real game to the highlights is probably the closest any athlete could be. Michael Jordan was almost perfect. Highlights are always showing the perfect parts of their play. Now, you could have bad highlights, but Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, might turn into that a little bit. Like a bad or a very good highlight, and you look at the real play, and you're like, wow, this guy actually is just like his highlights. It's crazy. And that's my thing. I'm going to give this an A. Because one thing that's holding me back from giving it an A+, okay, is the fact that it's a lot of money and free agency down the road could get a little tough. Players like Chris Jones, players like Tyreek Hill, let's just say Clyde Edwards-Helaire plays well. Tyrann Mathieu has had a good season. What happens if he wants the money down the road? Like, players like that, they're not gonna be able to pay him all. And if they can, they're not gonna be able to pay him that much money. And that could stir, I want to get out of here, request a trade, I'm not going to play until I get my money, blah, blah, blah. That's one thing down the road that could get a little ugly. But overall, I think this deal's an A easily. So now I just want to say one quick thing here. So I pulled this up actually yesterday. It's this. So here we go. So Mahomes had this is how it would go. So this is just something I found. Patrick Mahomes had 2 years and $27.6 million left on his existing deal. So he actually will be ready until about like 2032, 2033, somewhere around there, because he still has 2 years remaining on his whole rookie contract. $2.8 million this year, $24.8 million in 2021. His 10-year extension is worth over $400 million, though it is still uncertain how much over. This is an article that was written before. We all know it's $503 million and $477 guaranteed. So lowest his 12-year deal could be worth is $426.7 million, but will be more. So it'll probably be like it's $477 million, obviously, like we already said. But here are some of the biggest contracts in sports. Floyd Mayweather, the boxing, you know him, $450 million. Mike Trout, MLB, $430 million. Canelo Alvarez, boxing, for $365 million. Bryce Harper, MLB, $330 million. Giancarlo Stanton, MLB, $325 million. And now, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, $503 million, tops all of those 5 contracts. He is now on, and I guess out of the top 5 contracts, Giancarlo Stanton will fall off the list. So it will be Mahomes, Mayweather, Trout, Alvarez, Harper. The biggest sports contracts. So I found that pretty cool, to be honest. I really did. Like, that to me is pretty cool. Like, like I said, like, I just don't, like, one thing that just concerns me a little bit, and I like the deal a lot. I think you look at the numbers, you look at the written numbers, and a lot of people can go ahead, what the heck are they doing? Why are they giving all this guy the money? Well, have you ever seen the guy play? I mean, the guy is he's literally not human. Like, what he does on the field is just crazy. It's just ridiculous. And that's the one problem, though, is the free agency. And I know a lot of people will be, blabbing their mouths about, all this and this and this. But you got to look at the upside, people. You're re-signing the best quarterback in the NFL. I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, we're re-signing the best quarterback in the NFL. But it's just people. Just understand that you're getting the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, it's a good deal. It is a lot of money, and it might affect you on free agency a little bit. But overall, give it an A, without a doubt. So, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback. So, Patrick Mahomes' historic $503 million contract ranks among all-time sports deals. I just read this a little bit ago. Well, I read the deals just a couple of minutes ago, but I'm going to read it again. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year, $503 million contract Monday, making him the first player in sports history to sign a contract worth more than $500 million. Here's a look at the other top earners based on total contract value per Forbes. I've always said this, people. I'm not good with last names. Per Forbes, Kurt. I'm just going to call him Kurt. I don't even want to try his last name because sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Badenhausen. Kurt Badenhausen. I think it actually is. Actually wasn't that bad. I'm not good with last names, okay? So I just read it. Floyd Mayweather, Mike Trout, Alvarez, Harper, Stan. So I'm not going to really need to read it again, but that's what it was. So Steinberg Sports Mahomes agency confirmed the terms of the agreement, noting the quarterback gets $477 million in guaranteed money and ability to have outs in the guaranteed mechanisms are exercised. There is also no trade clause in the contract per the agency. Mahomes' extension will go into effect after the final 2 years of his current deal after complete and will link him with the Chiefs through 2031 NFL season per Adam Schefter on ESPN. There are no official numbers on Patrick Mahomes that was a deal. That was an earlier tweet. The 24-year-old Texas Tech product lucrative long-term deal was widely expected as he led the Chiefs to a 31-20 triumphant over the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl in the Super Bowl in February. He's already building the foundation for a Hall of Fame career after the Chiefs selected him with the 10th overall pick in the 2017 draft. He was named the NFL regular season MVP, Offensive Player of the Year in 2018, and he's earned a Pro Bowl selection in each of his first 2 years as the team starter. Mahomes discussed his desire to remain in Kansas City for the long haul in May. I want to be a Chief for a long time, he said. I want to have a contract that says that, and then I can go out there and know that I have the security and everything like that. I understand and trust the Chiefs organization. Everybody in it will handle it the right way. I trust my representation that they're going to ease my mind and let me go out there and just love the game that I love playing. Whenever it happens, it happens. No position in major team sports carries more weight in determining a team's championship hopes than the NFL quarterback. A great one like Mahomes instantly transformed a franchise into a title contender. In turn, it's no surprise the current gold standard for QBs was rewarded with a record-setting contract. And it goes to show you, people, too. It goes to show you how much he has done already in just his first 2 years as a starter with that team. It showed Pro Bowl twice, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, offensive rookie first team. And that's what I'm talking about. There's a difference between an overpaid. Overpaid is like, for example, I'm going to give it this name because I don't really like him that much, but I'm going to give it. Manny Machado. He's overpaid. A guy sloppy, he's not very good anymore because he got his money, he's not trying anymore. Mahomes, I don't believe that. I see a guy that's passionate for the sport. I see a guy that's a good dude, humble, I think he's going to use a lot of that money towards charity, and that's what I like about it. Manny Machado, on the other hand, not so much. Patrick Mahomes, different story. And get me wrong. Prove me wrong, okay? Maybe Mahomes is horrible with this new contract. I don't foresee that happening. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. I think this is one of the best talents we have ever seen in the NFL since really Brady, I think, was in his prime in the early 2010s and things like that. When Brady was in his prime, he was like insane. The guy you never even knew the guy threw an interception before. This is one of the best talents we have ever seen at a quarterback position. I can tell you what, and I hate doing this. I hate calling players Hall of Famers after 2 years, but this guy's something special. He really is. He is a special talent you do not see every day. He really is. You do not see a talent like this every day. This is very rare to see. You don't see LeBron Jameses come out of high school that often. You're not going to see Zion Williamson's that often. Multiple sources, multiple scouts have said Zion Williamson, and only to come, Zion Williamson, they saw the most LeBron James player was Zion Williamson coming out of Duke. We'll be able to follow his career all through his career. That's what they said. This guy, a lot of scouts have said this guy's the next LeBron. This guy's the next LeBron. You don't see that too often. You don't see Patrick Mahomes. People are already calling him a Hall of Famer. You don't see that too often. I mean, the guy, what he has already done in his first 2 years as a starter. And don't get me wrong, people. He will only improve. I said yesterday he'll probably get about 4 or 5 MVPs and maybe 3, 4 Super Bowls. I think the guy's going to be loaded by the end of his career. And he'll be enjoying retirement, believe me. By the end of his retirement, he'll be almost a billionaire. He'll be doing good. He'll be doing good. He'll be doing good. He'll be living in a big mansion, maybe going to some Chiefs games, going to be in the Hall of Fame. Don't worry. And we'll all remember this big contract that got him that big mansion. But I'm going to give you this. Mahomes, congrats on the big deal. Also, the Chiefs, good move. A deal. One thing, just a free agency you just got to look out for. But overall, you're re-signing the best quarterback in the NFL. And from what I've seen his first 2 years, if he continues it, a future Hall of Famer as well. So, that's what I got for that part of the podcast. Now, we move into the Yankees and the Mets schedules. So, the MLB schedules have came out yesterday. And, I would say they look, they're definitely, I think for the Yankees, I definitely am hopeful as a Yankees fan. I definitely am hopeful. Mets, I don't know. I mean, the Mets fans, all these Mets fans, they're hopeful through the first couple of games, and then they really start to see the real Mets come out, right? That's usually how it goes. You really start to see the real Mets come out. That is usually how it goes, is you usually really start to see the real Mets come out and the real Mets perform. Anyway, so the MLB contracts came out yesterday. MLB contracts came out yesterday, and I'll tell you what. To be honest, I think they're actually pretty good. I really do. I know some people, are like, oh, there's a couple games on here that eh. But there are definitely a lot of marquee matchups, definitely a lot of games I think are going to draw a lot of ratings, and I have said this multiple times. Both the leagues, NBA and MLB, especially NHL, excuse me, I wouldn't so much say so. NHL, in a way, I feel like is like almost getting quiet again. You're not hearing from the NHL. They actually suspended training camp. I think the NHL should just call it, to be honest. I think they should just call it. The NHL should. I don't know. It's just too hard, I feel like, I don't know. But anyway, 2020 MLB schedule release with Yankees, Nationals, Giants, Dodgers set for opening night. I mean, right there. You have a big franchise in the Yankees and you have a big franchise in the Dodgers. Boom, right there. That's making money that night. Or that's making headlines. And like I said, it's all about the ratings. It is all about the ratings. And don't get me wrong. I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad. I'm not saying, oh, this is so stupid. Why are they doing about the ratings? You could just see it's a battle for the ratings. And it will be interesting when these seasons are over and you see who had the better ratings. I'm going to put my money on the MLB. Actually, I don't know. Because I know I've said this a lot. A lot of people have said, you ask a regular football fan, what would you rather watch, an NBA game or an MLB game? You would probably go with an NBA game. I think with some of the stuff, though, the NBA possibly could be doing, I think maybe MLB. I think NBA, in a way, is almost like an NHL. Like, the seasons would be over anyway, just end it. The season would be over anyway, just end it, right? So 2020 MLB schedule release with Yankees, Nationals, Giants, Dodgers set for opening night. I have both the Yankees and the Mets schedules here. So the defending World Series champion, the Washington Nationals, will host the New York Yankees in the first game of the 2020 MLB season on July 23rd, followed by the San Francisco Giants traveling to play the rival Los Angeles Dodgers. MLB revealed its full schedule for the coronavirus pandemic shortened 2020 season on Monday. ESPN will broadcast both games with the action at Nationals Park scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the Giants and Dodgers following at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Following opening night, 14 games will be played on July 24th, including the first game at the Texas Rangers' new Globe Life Field as they host the Colorado Rockies. Over the 60-game regular season, teams will play their four divisional opponents 10 times each, and the other 20 games will be against interleague opponents with the same geographical area. From the example, National League West, teams will play the American League West. So it will be AL West, NL West, AL Central, NL Central, AL East, NL East. The opening day matchup between the Yankees and Nationals could serve as Garrett Cole's debut in pinstripes. Cole and the Yankees agreed to a record 9-year, $324 million contract this past winter. Highlights later in the season include Madison Bumgarner's return to San Francisco when the Arizona Diamondbacks face the Giants August 21st to the 23rd. Oakland Athletics pitcher Mike Fiers will get his first look at his former Houston Astros teammates on August 7th at the Ring Central Coliseum. Fiers blew the whistle on the Astros sign-stealing scandals, which dominated baseball talk throughout the winter before the coronavirus shut down the sport. The season ends September 27th with all 30 teams starting their games at 3 p.m. Eastern to allow the final day playoff scramble. Most games this season, however, are at night. The Boston Red Sox will face a challenging early in the season as 13 of their first 23 games are against a pair of AL East contenders, the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. We've said this so many times. The Rays are a feisty team. You got to watch out for them. They really are. They're a very underrated, feisty team. The Yankees have more room for error early in the season, as all but 3 of their final 23 games are against teams that lost 95 games or more last season. 10 against the Toronto Blue Jays and 7 against the Baltimore Orioles before they finished with a 3 against Miami Marlins. That game was like that. They should whoop them. The other 3 games in that stretch are the Yankees' only ones at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. September 18th through the 20th, Boston will play at Yankee Stadium 7 times in the first half of its schedule. The Dodgers, among the favorites to win the World Series, will not play the Giants in September and finish with 6 interleague games at home against the A's and the Los Angeles Angels. Seeing the schedule makes it a little more real. Reds manager David Bell said, "We can all start to plan a little better, have an idea what our life is going to be like and where we're going to be the next several months. It will make it more realistic. Hey, this is about to happen. It's just over 2 weeks now." Although the All-Star Game and games planned for London, Mexico City, and Puerto Rico have been canceled, the St. Louis Cardinals will still take on the Chicago White Sox on August 13th next to the Field of Dreams, confirmed outside of Dyersville, Iowa. Jackie Robinson Day, usually celebrated April 15th, will be August 28th. That's the date Martin Luther King led the March on Washington in 1963, and the date the Brooklyn Dodgers only Branch Rickey talked to Robinson in 1994 about the future in the majors. The 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues will be celebrated August 16th, and the Roberto Clemente Day will be September 9th. The Associated Press contributed to this report. So, the quick thing here, I just want to say a quick thing about the schedule. I am very bummed about it, about the Yankees not being able to play a Field of Dreams. I was really looking forward to that game. I really was. I asked people I know. I was looking forward to that game big time. That was highlight on the schedule before all this guy came here. I was like, oh, that's going to be a fun game. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Entertaining, to say the least. With the whole geographical features, the whole thing like that, the Yankees technically cannot go out to Iowa. So they're having St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago White Sox, 2 teams that can play against each other, go out to Iowa and play there instead of the Yankees versus the White Sox. It stinks because I was really looking forward to that. But that's not the case. It really does stink, but that's not the case, obviously. the Yankees are not going to play there this season. Maybe this is almost like a London where this goes down the road and just keeps going. I do think this was a once thing, though. But that really, the Field of Dreams game will still be fun to watch. It's August 13th. That will still be very fun to watch. Say the least. That's going to be still very fun to watch. So as you can tell, the schedule, they try to make it as real as possible. They try to make things, away games, things like that. They try to really make it, as normal as possible for these players. That's the whole goal, is to make these players have an environment that they can, really feel comfortable in, and make sure that they can really, just play their best. Go out there and play their best. With everything going on in the world, it might be hard to, completely focus, but all they got to do is just go out there and completely play their best. So obviously, the Field of Dreams is still on. Mexico City isn't. Puerto Rico isn't. London isn't. And the All-Star game is not. So, how is there going to be an All-Star game? There isn't an All-Star game. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if they're going to elect them and just not play. I don't know what's going to be the deal. Or is this year just not going to be an All-Star game? Or are they going to do some sort of, election? Are they going to elect players to play? Are they going to, you know what I mean? Are they going to elect players and say, oh, you're an all-star, but they just don't play a game? What's going to be the deal with that, right? I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know everything about that. Are they going to, elect a player to play in the all-star game, just not play it, but you are still an all-star? But anyway, it is going to be weird. It's going to be a little interesting, especially, with all these media. Media is going to be talking about it for the next 10 years from now. If a team in underdog, for example, I was talking to somebody a week or two ago. If a team like the Mets, let's just say, comes up and wins the championship, there's going to be talk for years. Oh, should it count? Should it do this? Okay? No matter who wins the championship. Okay? And I want to just make this clear, people. Mark my word. If I come back September, and it's September, a day after Game 7 of the World Series, and a team won, and I say this, you can say all you want in the comments about, what I said on July 7th, okay? No matter who wins the World Series, okay, they won the World Series. A win is a win, and championship is a championship. I don't care if it's a 162-game season or a 60-game season, okay? I don't want to hear all these numbers should it count, okay? Obviously it should, because they played a season, right? And I know that's the thing. If the Yankees win, everybody's going to be saying, they technically shouldn't count. No. Okay? A win is a win. A championship is a championship. I don't care if it's a 60-game season. I don't care if it's a 100-game season. I don't care if it's a 162-game season. I don't care if it's a however many game season it is. Okay? People, you do not understand. A championship is a championship. Why don't you try to go out there and lead a franchise to go win a World Series in 60 games? It actually might even be more harder because you have less games to win. You have less games to prove yourself, which also means you have less time. You lose your first 10 out of your first 15 games. All of a sudden, you're 5-10, and all of a sudden, you're at the bottom of your division, and you're like, oh, shoot, we might actually not even make the playoffs. So all these people saying, I don't want to hear it. And I understand. I don't want to hear it either. As a Yankees fan, if the Yankees win it, because, of course, they're one of the favorites, if the Yankees win it, that's all I'm going to hear about for the next 10 years. Champions, really, technically not, because, you only played this amount of games. No, be quiet. I don't want to hear that. Whoever wins, congrats, you deserved it. You're not going to go and say, no, they didn't deserve it. Why don't you try to go out there and win a championship with a franchise, right? No matter if you win or lose, right? Because I know the losing team, I bet you, the losing team of the World Series will probably be. And if the Yankees do lose, I will not be one of them. But I bet you the losing team, their fan base will be like, it doesn't even count anyway. Meanwhile, you were rooting for them to win, so would have still not counted? What? What's the deal here? So, anyway, that's what I got for the whole schedule thingy. Now we move on to the actual Yankees-Mets schedule. So, the Yankees and Mets schedule obviously was released yesterday, and this is their schedule. So, I actually, to be honest, I don't mind it. I actually kind of like it. I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's actually, I don't think it's that bad. But here we go, Yankees and the Mets schedule. So the Yankees schedule this season consists of, they're at the Nationals to start the season 3. That's a 3-game season. At the Phillies, 2 games. Versus the Phillies, 2 games. This is in order, by the way. Versus the Red Sox, 3 games. At the Orioles, 3 games. At the Rays, 4 games. Versus the Braves, 2 games. Versus the Red Sox, 4 games. Versus the Rays, 3 games. At the Mets, 3 games. At the Braves, 2 games. Versus the Mets, 3 games. Versus the Rays, 3 games. At the Orioles, 3 games. At the Blue Jays, 3 games. Versus the Orioles, 4 games. Versus the Blue Jays, 3 games. At the Red Sox, 3 games. At the Blue Jays, 3 games, or 4 games. And they finish it out versus the Marlins, 3 games. So I highlighted some of the games. So to be honest, like, that's to the schedule to me. There's a couple games on that list that I think are very winnable. Orioles, Blue Jays, Marlins. I think the Mets, honestly, are winnable. I think that if the Red Sox play like they did last year, I think that Red Sox game is very winnable. I really do. It might not be in your opinion, but if the Red Sox play like they did last season, I could see that game being very, very winnable in many ways. And the Red Sox did not play good at all last year. They were one of the worst teams in AL East. Obviously it was the Red Sox, it was Yankees, Rays, Red Sox, Orioles, or Blue Jays, Orioles, but still, if it was never for the Blue Jays and the Orioles, they could have been easily in last in any other division. Red Sox really struggled last year, and especially against the Yankees and the Rays, too. The Yankees really dominated them, so I could really see the Yankees again taking advantage. I highlighted some of the games that, to be honest, I really do believe are, some good games. At the Nationals to start off, I think this is going to draw big ratings. This is a 3-game set. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. They're at the Reds. They're at the Nationals. Defending World Series champions, trying to defend their championship, trying to win it again against a feisty Yankees team that is trying to win it this year, that have came close multiple times in the past couple of years. They're trying to win it. This should be a very fun game. Next, and then the Phillies, at the Phillies and home against the Phillies, those 2 games should be fun. I think Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler, Rhys Hoskins, Didi coming back to New York should be fun to watch. Joe Girardi coming back to New York should draw some big ratings. So that will be the first time back at the Yankees managing another team since he retired. This will be the first time back at Yankee Stadium since he retired. Or at least, I don't know if he watched the game there. Maybe he was broadcasting there. But what I mean is, like, as a coach, it'll be the first time back at Yankee Stadium. I think that would be very intriguing. I think a lot of people, that would be top headlines. Joe Girardi returns. Didi returns. Players like that return. Zach Wheeler comes back to New York, after he got obviously traded from the Mets now to the Phillies. Zach Wheeler comes back to New York, although that will be another headline against the Mets, and I'll have that game on here as well. But these 2 games, Yankees' first 3 series, Nationals, Phillies, and the Phillies again, their first 4 series are actually kind of hard. You have the Nationals, who I think are who in my opinion are the third best team in the league. You have the Phillies, who I rank very high. I think you look at the roster: Bryce Harper, Rhys Hoskins, Didi, Zach Wheeler, so many good players on that team. Joe Girardi is their manager, very good coach. I could see that being a tough game for them to win. Nationals, obviously, you have all these good players: Strasburg, Scherzer, Soto. You have so many good players on that team. I really think it could get interesting there, and in the Red Sox too. The Red Sox lost a couple players. They obviously lost Price and Betts. They still have J.D. Martinez. They still have a lot of good players on that team. Chris Sale, all of them. But I do believe the Yankees' in-game rival coming off of the Phillies and the Nationals twice. I think the Yankees, this could get interesting. At the Orioles, at the Rays. The Rays are a very feisty team. They are an underrated team. Not many people talk about the Rays. I think this could be very interesting seeing the Rays. Then they're versus the Braves, which could be very fun. You got Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, all those good players. Could be very fun to watch. Braves obviously have been a very good team the past couple of years, have made the playoffs. Young, talented team. They're a very young and talented team. They remind me a lot of the Atlanta Hawks. A couple years from now, they could be World Series champions. Hawks a couple years from now could be playoffs finals champions. Versus the Red Sox, good. Rays, good. Then we have the Mets. Obviously, I know this might be I think the Yankees will probably win these games, but it's a Subway Series, right? Subway Series always draws big attendance. They always do that. And you notice how they put the Yankees at the Mets, at the Braves, which should get good attendance. The Braves, that should be a very fun game to watch. Then versus the Mets again. Then the Yankees have a quick interesting game against the series against the Rays again. Like the MLB, there's some nooks and crannies into this thing that they made it so then they get, good ratings, things like that. That's what they did. Like you could tell too, like, they're at the Rays and they play the Braves and then they play the Red Sox, then they play the Rays again. And they're at the Mets all of a sudden. So, the Red Sox, Yankees, is going to get big views. And if the Rays are successful this year, that's going to get big views. And then you got at the Mets, which Subway Series. There's little things in the schedule you can tell. Then at the Orioles, at the Blue Jays, versus the Orioles, versus the Blue Jays, at the Red Sox, at the Blue Jays. After that Rays game, the Yankees have a chunk of games here that I really believe they could win all of them. It could sweep the Orioles, sweep the Blue Jays, sweep the Orioles again, sweep the Blue Jays, beat the Red Sox. Should be interesting. I think it will be harder for them. And then the Blue Jays again, and they finish out with the Marlins. And I highlighted this game just because I think the Yankees could easily, let's just say this comes down to the Yankees need to win this series to get into the playoffs. I think the Yankees easily win this. For example, if the Yankees get caught looking ahead, though, into the playoffs, this series could get interesting. I think the Yankees, though, blow them out. I think the Yankees, they start off slow. For us Yankees fans, should not be time to worry, right? Because look at how we finish out the season. Just look at how we finished out the season. Okay. Orioles, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Marlins. Like, it's just you couldn't have got a better finish to the season. I think it's a very good finish. I think it's a very good end of the season finish, in my opinion. I really do. And I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty obvious too that's obviously a good finish. Whoops. So, obviously, that's the Yankee schedule. Like I said, I think the Yankees surpass 40 games. I really do. I think they surpass 40 games. I think this is obvious. I don't think I'm making that bold of statements here. I think they surpass 40 games. You look at the roster, you look at what they've done in the past couple of years, I really believe they are at that level now to surpass 40 games, 40, 45, 50 games even, I think. The Yankees are a very talented team. I say 40 games. Mets 2020 schedule. They're versus the Braves 3 games, at the Red Sox 2 games, versus the Red Sox 2 games, at the Braves 4 games, at the Nationals 2 games, versus the Marlins 3 games, versus the Nationals 4 games, at the Phillies 3 games, at the Marlins 4 games, versus the Yankees 3 games, versus the Marlins 3 games, at the Yankees 3 games, at the Orioles 2 games, versus the Phillies 4 games, versus the Orioles 2 games, at the Blue Jays 3 games, at the Phillies 3 games, at the Phillies 3 games, versus the Braves 3 games, versus the Rays 3 games, at the Nationals 4 games. I think the first 5 games of their series, to be honest, really rattle. Braves, Red Sox, Braves, Nationals. Like that I think series right there, that could definitely get interesting. I really do. I think it could get very interesting. I think the Braves will be an interesting game. I think the Red Sox and the Mets actually might be close in skill-wise. And you got the Braves again. Then you have the defending World Series Nationals. Division rival. You want to watch do that. I think actually the Mets could very well be. They could these first couple of games, especially for the Yankees and the Mets too. They start off with the first couple of tough games. The Yankees Nationals, Phillies twice. The Red Sox should be a win, but then they have the Rays. Then they have the Orioles. Then they have the Rays. The Rays are away too to start off. That could get interesting. The Mets, here we go. The first 7 games for each of these teams could get interesting. Or the first, yeah. The Mets here, their first 7. Braves, Red Sox, Braves, Nationals, Marlins, Nationals, okay? Yankees is Nationals, Phillies, Red Sox, Orioles, Rays. All right? So, Rays, the Rays could beat them. Phillies could beat them. Nationals could beat them. For the Mets, Braves could beat them, Red Sox could beat them, Braves could beat them again, Nationals could beat them, and Nationals could beat them. I think the 2 winnable games, each of these teams have one winnable game through the first 7. That's Marlins and the Orioles. They almost have similar schedules. I think the Yankees could beat the Nationals, though. I really do. I am hopeful, especially with Cole starting out on the mound. I think he could very well do some good stuff with us. I think then you have the Marlins, Nationals again. Then you're at the Phillies, which could get interesting, obviously. Could get interesting. Yankees versus the Yankees, at the Yankees twice. Actually, this could get interesting. They have to play the Marlins. Could they get caught looking ahead to playing the Yankees when they're playing the Marlins before the Subway Series? That could get interesting there as well. Then you have at the Orioles versus the Phillies. That's Zach Wheeler's return versus the Orioles, at the Blue Jays, at the Phillies, versus the Braves, versus the Rays, at the Nationals. They finish out very tough. Here's their final 4 games. Phillies, Braves, Rays, Nationals. They have a tough, brutal end. They have a brutal beginning and a brutal end. They're okay in the middle. They have the Marlins, the Orioles, the Blue Jays. That Phillies, Braves, Rays, Nationals. And you got to watch out for that Blue Jay series. I have this final series highlight as well because they could play spoilers possibly. I think as well. And this game I really highlight right here is this Blue Jay. And I didn't highlight it, but this Blue Jays game could get interesting too. They play the Phillies. What happens if they're looking ahead again? They get caught looking at a division game. Right? I think a lot of these series, and some of these games I think are going to catch big views. I think those Yankees games could be very interesting. I think they could very well split, or the Yankees could win. I know they usually split. Usually each of them win at home. Usually that's how it goes. I don't know. I just, to be honest, I just think that with this whole thing with the MLB, I think as long as the players stay safe and as long as they don't have to shut down the season again, I think they could catch big views. I think they really could. For the season, for obviously the games. I think they could catch big views. So, comment down below. What do you think? Do you think the Yankees or the Mets? Which New York's team do you think will win the World Series? Or not win the World Series. Will make the playoffs. Or win the World Series too. I think the Yankees. I don't think the Mets will make the playoffs. Although last year the Mets did make it interesting late. But does that mean that this year they're going to struggle and try to make it interesting late? They're just not going to have enough games to do it. What will happen, right? So, the Yankees had their first inter-squad game yesterday, and they're having another one today. An inter-squad game is where you pretty much split up the teams. So, they'll split up the team half and half, so some players go over here, some players go over there. It was the Bombers versus the Yankees. It was on Yes Network. They played some with infielders. It was just like a little simulated game. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I'll tell you that for sure. It was. I watched the highlights. It was actually, reminded me of a regular old ball game. They posted on their Twitter. That was a lot of fun. It showed a couple of these players. Boom. But obviously Thairo Estrada hit a home run. It looked very good. A couple players looked good. Voit had a nice hit. They both look good. What I'm really looking at when I'm watching those games is I'm really looking at, players that can really, that players that look good, players that can, almost like, okay, maybe they can make a run for the starting job, right? There's some of these players that are balancing between, for example, Thairo Estrada. He's making his point. Some players are balancing, and these aren't no-name pitchers either. Happ was on the mound. Paxton, Cole's taking the mound today. These aren't no-name pitchers either. Clark Schmidt, one of our top prospects, he was on the mound. And here's the thing. I think this really helps the Yankees because they get to see, live game atmosphere and things like that. But I think especially for the players that are trying to make their point felt to be like, oh, I'm going to be on this team. I want to be on this team. I want to be on the starting day lineup. It goes in these inter-squad games, they are allowed to show their talents. They're allowed to show what they're made out of. They're allowed to, show, the coaches, show the coaching staff, okay, I deserve to be on the team. Maybe not, whether you could be on the team. Doesn't even have to be starting lineup. These guys are also trying to fight for the starting job. The taxi squad, on the other hand, right, some of the players that maybe not perform well in these, they're going to go on the taxi squad, right? Now you're gonna have your players that are gonna be almost like a guaranteed spot. You got the Judge, the Stantons, the Coles, the Paxtons. They're gonna be their guaranteed spots. the Haps. Although I don't really like Hap. I don't like. It's not that I don't like him. I just think that since he's came to Yankees, he's not been. I think it's 59 minutes, but yeah, with these inter-squad games, it could get interesting. And to be honest, it's baseball. It's baseball. It's anything to get you back into the baseball groove. Right? It feels nice to at least get back out there. And get back out there and start to really see live pitching, get in that live game environment. So that's what I got for the podcast today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. What do you think about that? I would like you guys to comment down below. Patrick Mahomes contract, Yankees and the Mets schedule, Yankees inter-squad game. All your thoughts. How you like that Mahomes deal? Yankees and Mets schedule, predictor schedule. How do you think about that? What do you think about that in the Yankees inter-squad game? Who do you think will win? Or just comment down below something that you like about it. Anyway, so that's what I got for the podcast today. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.